BearByBlood's Trails of Poems and Blood, Volume 1, 2nd edition. A 13 through 21-year-old poet's hand-picked poems, picked from hundreds of poems that were written between the years 2011 and 2019, categorized and ordered light to dark. Follow the poems as the poems gradually descend into darkness. Autobiography. My birth name is Beau. My pen name is Bear by Blood. By, capital B, or the name's read wrong. Although despite the smooth sound of that beer be blood, it's not symbolic and doesn't share the bear's blood, shed my day of birth, bled by an arrow released from my father's bow. That's why my name's Beau. Why Beau and not Beau? Sometimes I wish I could know. It's not Dante, though. My intended name. Instead, I was born early. Unlikely enough. It wouldn't delay my father's plan to hunt elk, his first with a bow. Without a sidearm, such was the way of the law, that could have killed him. A bear from years past, who wore cinnamon black fur, followed an elk call. 18-10-16, on the Boone and Crockett scale to a battleground, and is now displayed upon a shelf in my room, somewhat a legend. Approaching humans is the most dangerous game, namely from behind. The man did not know if he'd return to his home. A choice must be made. A twig was broken, behind soon father of two, followed by silence. Choices must be made, to either run, fight, or die. The bear failed to choose. In New Mexico, somewhere in the vast desert, steel pierced the bear's heart. September the 3rd, year 1997, I was born through death. I'm as tall as the smallest Iceland giant, and appear lightly built when standing beside a specific group of kilted Scottish men. Specifically, the group of men who are tossing cabers, throwing hammers and launching shot puts. Specifically, the group of men who are standing on the field, watching the others, who age like wine. Watching the somewhat shorter, bigger, fatter, and more confident, balding, gray-haired men who utilize strength, technique, and skill to fling a weight into the air, smelling of beer, battered haggis, and sweat soup. My hair is charcoal brown, like the charred and ground bark of a pine tree, with two red-streaked white universes, two galaxies of cinnamon, and two central black holes as eyes. The same eyes that shut at sunrise and open at sunset, covered by skin light enough to be viewed as a sickly shade. And because I loved to leap from heights as a kid, a crooked smile, due to half of my bottom lip being paralyzed. I have tightly spaced teeth that speak words, though sometimes hesitate and stutter, and a tongue that has little control or thought over its tempo and volume. You can spot me by finding the man who appears to be lost, smiling and laughing without any cause or warning, responding slowly, and frequently mixing up words, talking loud and fast about a hardship or passion, doing something for someone, or writing a poem. The hunched-over quiet one in a group that sometimes becomes the loudest, waving his hands way too passionately. The saddest man, and also the proudest. The most and least forgiving person you'll meet. A self-destructive, hopeless soul. A completely selfless type of masochistic narcissist. A sadist with a hair-trigger temper at times, and a monk during meditation at others. A stubborn and inspired artist, and to no one's surprise, is way too hard on himself, although sometimes not hard enough on others. I'm a true poet or wordsmith, and am about to reach a decade of practice. With a consistent strive for mastery, driven by a daily driving passion, a desire to teach and inspire, motivate and perform, overcome and succeed. I got a job in Albuquerque, its inner city, at the emergency room as an EMT. Between 2016 and 2018, I lived alone in my home for 2 years. I lost the house the first day of work, and so suddenly I had to face all of my worst fears. I struggle with severe generalized anxiety. I'm always afraid of what can become of everything. I can focus despite my ADHD, but a brief period longer, I forget most anything. So where I really struggle with my ADHD is impulsivity and depression mixing with my anxiety. I'm sometimes faced with PTSD, flashbacks of sudden deaths, following soul-destroying images and cruelty. But then, I'm suddenly unsure of what had caused the distress. Could have been an episode of terror, or one in which I'm crying, one of quiet, motionless horror, or sometimes of anger that's flying. There's also quite a bit of insecurity, but not when it comes to my poetry. I can turn reality into fantasy and everything else into creativity, such as of the cancer that I saw, killing my childhood friends. Chemo can be the scariest thing of all. The ability to have memories, chemo can cleanse. The ability to talk, to walk, grow hair and smile, but not the ability to eat without crying and vomiting. That's just not chemo's style. My brother was only 7 when he lost his leg, lost part of a lung at 10. Cancer returned at 13 when he'd beg for another child so that I wouldn't have to grow up alone. 16 was probably the worst, with a 2% prognosis due to the chest's 24 cancer bits made of bone. And so, it's kind of become a question of what would get him first. The gift of being free of pain can all be taken all the same. The ability to reproduce suddenly reduced each time chemo is introduced. Hopelessness is produced once one's quality of life is reduced to a hospital bed that puts one's family in debt, thinking and rethinking about being better off dead, while touching an unattractive bald head, then looking out and seeing an entire family frowning, all while the nurse once again makes their hourly rounding. Everyone's all bored out of their brains, while your hospital bed neighbor becomes another child, chemo and cancer claims. This trains you quickly to not go next door, for they likely and quite possibly can become the next torn, childless family. Oh, such a tragedy without disguise. The desolate, fireless spark of a mother's eyes. I saw such things several times. Suffering, so severe it would be a crime, can't wholly be captured in only rhymes. Such thing turned me into a mime. I was only 3, only 6, only 9, and only 11-teen. Could anyone understand me for what I've seen? A frown at my age was met by something mean. Unlike me, it wasn't a face my peers had often seen. My grandpa was bedbound with cerebral palsy, possibly the worst witnessed tragedy. 20 years in the same bed, force-fed, and wishing to die. Unable to move or speak properly, the only thing he was able to do was lie. Another thing that could be scary to some is when I was buried under a mound of dirt, unable to inhale with lungs at full exhale, a pressure at my head as everything hurt. My head was surrounded by air, but it didn't do any good for me there, until I was dug out by one of my father's construction staff, the one who, only months later, had been cut in half. How? One might have speculated. By watching a drag race. The crowd would have dissipated as the car had split his body and face. The chances of that being the fate of my hero should have been slim, perhaps even zero. And when I was in junior high, my closest cousin had died in a similar way. But why? In a car crash that rolled. He was driving, wearing his seatbelt. He grew cold. Then my friend, he was tortured, and then he was murdered. So suddenly, within a week of hearing the sound of his voice speak. I had a girlfriend that caused me hurt. With my two cousins, she'd flirt, fake suicide, and turn my peace of mind into dirt. And over the 3 years with her, she made this pain that became inert. And my second girlfriend of 2 years grew weary from all of my fears. So then, on her lap, she wiped a tear and comforted me as the end drew near. She broke up with me the following day. Sometimes the most destruction comes without a word to say. From my first, I learned about passion and pain, and from my second, I learned what it's like to be slain. Both had taught me how to wait for months on end, and to value the worth of a second of time two together can spend. I learned how I could be the victim of destruction, and also the dangers of the act of rushing in, and also that family too can betray, the cause of 7 years without speaking to this day. I learned what it's like to have someone change you and cause you to become your worst nightmare. I learned people can amass a crew and lead them to chase and cause harm to you. Best friends will steal from you, bonds will break quickly after they grew, and when you're at your worst, those who love you won't leave at first, but they will leave eventually, and you can truly lose it all. Darkness grows perpetually, and there's no limit to how far you can fall. Physical injuries will maim you weak, unstable emotions will turn things bleak. People with power may choose to betray and use their power to strip yours away. When you hold a knife to your mother's throat after taking some drugs and sending some messages you wrote, to your family and your friends, they will leave you alone where darkness becomes your lens. The lens from which you see, feel, and believe, while you are known as a crazy druggie, they will all try and leave. Everything just becomes so foggy. Control is lost, and look at the cost. Unable to stop yourself from hurting those you love, you think about how you had a chance at life and lost. And there grows one and only one thing that you can think of: suicide, to protect the ones you love. Then to a facility where it all gets worse, an allergy to the medication. All over it does hurt. Not a single moment will the pain disperse. Scattered thoughts and words are spurt. People with power discriminate and rob my hobbies. People with power destroy my dreams. People with power shatter my chances of getting into college. Everything did get 1,000 times worse, it seems. All that's left is family stress. Together we cope and deal with the mess. In our way, the way we know how. We only accept the pain that we allow. BearByBlood's trail of poetry and blood, of which you may follow into the darkness that dwells within the pages and pages of memories, of stories, of life, of chaos, of angels and of demons that may lay in this book. Starting from love into peace, into life, into sorrow, and into chaos. And from chaos into rage. And finally from rage into the depths of darkness, of which has no end and is limitless. The more you read, the darker it gets. Stop reading at any time to protect your sanity. Butterfly wings. If you were a butterfly flying by, I'd be a blind man gazing up at the sky, following the sounds of your wings, stumbling and tripping over things. If asked why I was headed your way, to see you, I would say. And when I'm about earshot away, there's only one thing that I may wish that you won't leave, so that you stay nearby. And because I can't ever see, all I want to do is to hear you fly. I'm a strange mind. I'm a strange mind, and have been all my life. So how will someone find love instead of strife? Am I supposed to think that it'll be okay? That this is just the brink of another perfect day? When love's a one-way street made of concrete, following the sounds of its own beat, that you're hoping takes a seat. So if love is all these things, how do you stop the one you're seeing, who is just a human being, from taking everything and fleeing? Because people are cruel, and in love, you're the fool. Because it's only just a tool, so you follow someone else's rule. There are more that should separate than should stay together, despite the 1,000 lies we fabricate and continue now and forever. Promising to be the center of the universe, I'm going to show you and you're going to see just how badly this is all rehearsed, and how love is really just insanity. Tell me another lie, how you'll never make me cry, with eyes as beautiful as the sky. Please just tell me another lie, because I'll travel all over the world and believe to be someone better than I am, with all of my love hurled as I'm trying to pass your exam. Because I'm pathetic when it comes to love. I'm there for the push and shove. I'm accepting of every fight, and I'm willing to be cast alone every night. And forgiving, because I understand that I'm undeserving of anyone's hand. I'm tired of being in pain, and alone I can enjoy the rain, and I can enjoy my life, instead of mixing up love with strife. Love. I'm at ease, at peace, and in love with you. Like the breeze you release my love's tattoo. After the storm sow seed and lift debris, I transform, indeed you reveal my glee. Your soft sound, light touch, and beauty untame. The profound warm clutch of a burning flame. There beside you where I most desire, you provide the care of loving fire. Our set bond, pure trust and secure embrace, very fond we trust and form our own base. Our jewels, one chance potential to shine, such fuels romance of precious design. I'm at ease, at peace, and in love with you. Like the breeze, you release my love's tattoo. Love is something more. Love has power. Love starts war. It's not just a feeling, it's something more. It's not hers, nor is it his. Love is love. It just is. A madness or weakness that doesn't end or cease. A comfort or strength, the feeling of peace. It is deaf and it is blind, but it is not something. that can be defined. Old friend, you're fascinating. You make me smile. I haven't seen you in quite a while. You are nice and you are funny, interesting and cunning, but I can't see you. You say you are forbidden. I believe you. You are nice and I wouldn't think twice. If you went in for a kiss, it wouldn't be a kiss I'd miss, because you'll be dreaming on the grounds, becoming the beauty of the sounds, and then standing up with beauty in your eyes and joy in your smile. You'll have hope shimmering in your hair and reflecting off the tile. Queen of the Heart. May I speak to the Queen of the Heart in all her eternal grace. I've heard that she's the master of the art that swims through time and space. I don't know what's going on. Has our Highness lost her mind? Because the hearts that I've come upon have been as cruel as mankind. And what's with all this pain? I know that they've forgotten about me, but I've been unable to do the same, which means she's not the one who sets me free, and that's the reason I came. I feel I need a lawyer for all my tiresome tries. Am I also obligated to destroy her for all her blatant lies? But don't tell her that whenever you're getting her. She won't come. And I mean no harm, I swear. I've read much about her in literature, and right now, I think all I need is her care. Then, the Queen of the Heart stepped out from behind her small, humble throne and said, I've heard all that you've said, as a tear was rolling down her cheekbone. And as my words had stopped dead, she spoke in a choked-up voice that held the burden of an eternity worth of pain. Do you wish to learn about undying love, the source of your imprisoning chain, the reason for those blatant lies, and the lack of my eternal grace? Would you like me to advise? Ask me anything if that is the case. 1,000 times, yes! And I'm undying love doesn't die, but you do. People say lies about me all the time that I cannot live up to. Not all people are wise, nor are they all strong. People are insecure and tell lies, and not all love is lifelong. I can't be promised, and I apologize. I see you've tried. It hurts. I see it in your eyes. I do have a downside. I can be your greatest desire. People can use me to manipulate you. I can take over your mind like fire, but I'm not always powerful. I'm weak, too, and causing you pain is not my reason. I'll never agree to that. If you keep saying that, I'll get you for treason. I don't want to be misunderstood, so this is what I'm getting at. I bring people together, not to rip them apart. I bring people together to help them thrive. Don't blame me for doing my part. Restless love. I think the heart is like a revolver, by the way it shoots its pieces away, sometimes missing everything that's out there. And I fire a piece of it today. My eyes are though both deceiving and blind. They're as blind as my love-stricken mind. Although love can be as blind as I am, such love when lost is like the lonely lamb. Alone will wander the vast greenery up until its final withering breath, admiring night's endless scenery, but as I watch over the lamb's poor death, love starts tearing at me without release, and my heart begins crying out for peace. The Lost Note. Last week, I found a note at the foot of a trash can, and instead of picking it up and throwing it away, I opened it and read. This is what the note said. It said, "You are written poetry, the words telling a story, and you're beautiful to me. I write about you with a pen. It set fire from the friction, from the words that burn into the table, pressing hard, and I'm able to write stories that'll never be, and to waste my time with little nothings, living in the world of memory, of fantasy, of everything that the eyes can't see and life can't be." It said, "You're all of my written poetry, all the pretty words that tell my story, and all the lovely things that I see, like inspiration that never fades, more beautiful than the fables and the stories made, and those pretty words, little nothings, and the fantasy. Because you can take me to reality. You're real to me. You're covered in life's anxiety. You're the truth within the poetry, the beauty of the words within a story, and you take me to reality, allowing me to dream past fantasy in the realm that my eyes can't see, the realm of my memory." It said, "Past the limit of tragedy, you're beautiful to me." Unrequited love. I know I love you, but I don't mind, because we both know love is hard to find. I think I love you in all the ways. We talk every day about our days, then watch a movie or play a game, but you don't need to feel the same. Because I could move on if I wanted someone to love me too, if I wanted someone to love me true. But loving doesn't hurt, not even a tad, because I can't miss something I know I never had. Who I was. You are the best company. There are times you're all I see, and without you I'd fade away as the darkness consumes the light of day. There are times I cannot breathe when you're getting ready to leave, and I just can't say goodbye because I feel I'm ready to die. Because when all I love is you, through the dark and the blue, your smile outshines the sun and is more dangerous than a gun. And I can't begin to wonder if your life left me one day, the darkness I'd be under without a part of you to stay. I don't think I'd care anymore. Be who I was years before. More butterfly wings. If my love was a butterfly flying by, I'd be a blind man gazing up at the sky, who's stumbling and tripping over things while following the sounds of my love's wings. The sounds coming from a butterfly wing is just enough to make this man's heart sing. All I know is the way that my love was headed an hour ago, but I don't know for sure if my love is still headed that way. I wish I could be certain of the way that I must go, but all I can hope for is for luck to stumble me earshot away. And when I'm asked why I'm headed that way, to hear the butterfly, I do say, if only I could see, it would be a whole lot easier for me to find the butterfly that I just cannot see. If I could see, would I value the sound of my love's soft fluttering wing? Would love still be as strong as that I've found through the eyes of mine that mine do bring? Many don't think that the butterflies have a sound, but they do flutter. I don't think they know, because they judge with their eyes, and not hearing sound. And when I am about earshot away, there's only one thing that I may wish that my love won't leave, so that my love stays nearby. And because I can't ever see, all I want to do is to hear my love fly. More love. I've fallen in love with something and someone. It doesn't hurt me. It's something I've become. This time I know that I'm not mistaken. I'm at ease, at peace, and in love. It's true. I've trust in the form that love has taken, for love did clear the fog that hid my view. And then it carried my heart, using the sounds, the touch, and the beauty I'll claim, in that which inspires me from the inside and out the same, and has caused me to write this poem and share it with all, because I'm backed by the things and the people that inspire me. For my heart has chosen, despite being held captive behind a wall, to squeeze through the gate and escape without the key. And then my heart traveled, as if it had a ticket for adventure with no limiting fee, to another beautiful world that's lacking nothing except tragedy. And with love, I'm able to continue, increasing realms of possibility where vulnerabilities now shine through, becoming the stake for the ability, the way of the free, who can now be and become unafraid to give, benefit oneself, benefit one another, clarifying sight. I will do whatever it takes for what I love, even if that means not doing anything. I will go under for and excel far above in order to remain submerged within all that love brings, where I'll find myself often doing for, just to do, and for nothing more.